Some disturbing new reports are coming out of the U.S. with regards to credit. 1/5 of all American millennials, and that's people about 18 to 37, expect to die before any of their debts are paid off. That means, according to this new report, 1/5 of the younger people in America are fairly certain that they will never pay down the debts that they have. And of course, most of that is student debt. Now, this isn't just millennials. Millennials seem to be possibly the worst off in this kind of situation, but their parents' generation also seem to be the next one. This is a study done by creditcards.com. Well, study more like a poll, what people are thinking, and it's true of the more cynical Generation X, the generation that I'm a part of, that are like 38 to 53, and then the even more idealistic baby boomers aged 54 to 72. All of us are having that same problem. All of us are feeling really cynical in this regard. A lot of us feel like we're never going to pay off our debts before we die. And frankly, I think that might be the case for me as well. I'm not entirely certain. I think it's still possible for me to do it, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, even the elderly, more than a third of Americans over 73 believe that they too will die inside of debt. More than 80% aren't sure if they'll be able to pay down their debts, a larger share than any other group. In other words, the elderly, more than anyone else, at 80%, are sure that they will never pay down the amount of debt that they owe before they die. And that's a very frightening statistic. Now, we should keep this in mind. This comes in a certain context where 89% of U.S. millennials would like it to buy a home, but they can't because of student debt. So those of them that want to buy a house, or those of them who know that they could be able to buy a house, cannot do it because of student debt. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the inability to pay mortgages and other kinds of debts, which got financialized through collateral debt holdings, sent out into the financial world, a TLDR of the Great Recession? Isn't this what caused the Great Recession? The inability to pay back large amounts of fictitious capital is a tremendous crisis that is looming over capitalism. That great crisis that we've been looking for, one that many people think will actually be worse than the 2008, credit crunch, Great Recession, what have you. This is going to be worse than that. And we're looking at it right now. It's not just like people are struggling to pay. They believe that they are going to die before those debts are ever paid. Yet we continually have a system that runs on credit, fictitious capital, because people don't have the money to buy things. One of the reasons why credit cards came into existence is the fact that you could forward a portion of value before it was actually created in the labor process. If a worker didn't have $100 on them, but they were probably going to make that in the future, then they could make that $100 purchase using a fictitious value, which would be then later backed up by a real value that would eventually be paid out through wages with a percentage of interest paid on top of it. I mean, this really is a kind of absurdity of capitalism here, that basically the whole system only runs on this fictitious value, which is reliant on people actually, creating that kind of value inside the labor process to eventually back up that fictitious value. And it's getting worse. I mean, we could see from the statistics right here. America has always been very big on home ownership. This was something that was pushed during the beginning of the 19th century. This was something that they really pushed for as a social value, that to own a home, to be part of that, American dream kind of fictitious scenario, because they figured that workers who were in debt to a mortgage were less likely to go on strike. I don't know how successful that was, but that's the idea nonetheless. You get to some of the Western European social democratic countries, and you have a majority of the population that rents. And this doesn't seem to be a problem for anyone, and that's the way people generally prefer it. A freer mobility. They're able to up and leave and go somewhere else, but you don't get the added bonus of owning property that you would through home ownership. But it definitely means a less encumbered working force. But you can see that this traditionally American value of home ownership is now becoming something that's just a dream and not something that's very real, that they even believe is something that's going to happen in their lifetime. So it's very interesting to look at this and to see where things are going, because as these debts continue to pile up, the threat to the capitalist system continues to grow.
Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.